COVID-19 and its effects on the pregnancy process for women. More on that coming up.
It was really hard because it was not the pregnancy that I thought I was going to be having.
Governor Newsom made an important announcement regarding California's reopening plan. When we come back, we'll tell you everything you need to know.
Spartans, are you looking for a safe space to express yourself? Answers coming up next.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communications at San Jose State University, your source for what's happening with a fresh perspective on today's issues. You're watching Update News.
Welcome to Update News. I'm Shiri Marwaha.
And I'm Ivan Garcia. The Food and Drug Administration is advising doctors to stop administering the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, at least temporarily. The FDA is worried about reports of extremely rare blood clots. The Center for Disease Control is asking for more information before taking action. Kenya Caballero is standing by live in San Jose for what this might mean for California.
Ivan, getting a hold of a vaccine in California has become twice as hard. Now that more people are eligible, but even with the vaccine shortage, the governor is still planning to continue with the reopening.
As the number of COVID cases begin to decrease in California, Governor Newsom makes an important decision for the future of the state.
With the expectation of an abundance of doses coming in from the federal government through the end of this month and into May, we can confidently say by June 15th that we can start to open up as business as usual.
But not everyone agrees with this decision. The state is currently facing a vaccine shortage, and now that Johnson & Johnson's distribution had to be paused, many people lost their appointments.
I think we should actually wait and see how things eventually turn out.
But not everyone agrees with this decision. San Jose resident and Foothill College student Grecia Ayala says rushing to reopen the state will lead to a second stay-at-home order.
People will see that since we have more freedom, they're going to be more tempted to go out and forget about the actual distancing rules. And we're going to see an increase in cases because of that.
California is currently administering 5,000 vaccines a day. People who are 16 years or older qualify to receive a vaccine.
That's why some people say that the state should lift the lockdowns now. Urbana Magaña is a San Jose grandmother. She says that the increase in cases scares her. However, she hopes that as more people have access to the vaccine, things will change for better. The day to reopen will eventually have to come. There's a lot of people with no jobs, said Magaña. According to the California government vaccine dashboard, only 28% of Californians have been fully vaccinated.
It will definitely take time for us to jump back to our normal activities. I wouldn't consider attending a public event right away just because of that risk that as soon as someone's handed the freedom, they're going to obviously take advantage of it. So
the governor says they anticipate to have more than 30 million people receive at least one dose of the vaccine by the end of April. Live in San Jose, Kenya Caballero, Update News.
A growing number of Americans have been experiencing mental health problems during the pandemic. An organization that supports mental health awareness and education for students called Active Minds conducted a survey of more than 2,000 students last spring. 80% reported increased isolation, loneliness, stress under the lockdown. Some SJSU students are finding ways to cope with isolation.
Yoga, meditation, those things would be very helpful if you are a person who is going a lot of stress.
I feel like I'm kind of almost scared to reach out because it's just intimidating in a way.
According to the Centers for Disease Control, feeling of pandemic-induced stress can result in several problems, including difficulty concentrating, sleeping, and nightmares.
The pandemic has caused a lot of stress for people, but pregnant women have experienced much more anxiety than most. Due to COVID safety within hospitals, pregnant women have had a lot to miss out on what a normal pregnancy would usually look like. Tronica Vinluan is live in San Jose with more on the story. Tronica?
Ivan, the past year, pregnant women have had to isolate themselves to keep them and their unborn children safe, but the mental and emotional stress has taken an overwhelming toll.
Having a child is a life-changing experience, but what happens if you're not able to have the pregnancy you were expecting? Andrea Lindemann is a first-time mother who has a 7-month-old daughter named Leilani Joy. When the pandemic hit during her pregnancy, She isolated herself in fear of being exposed to COVID.
It was really hard because it was not the pregnancy that I thought I was going to be having.
According to the CDC, pregnant women are more likely to contract COVID-19 compared to women who are not pregnant.
Many women were forced to miss out on certain maternity milestones. These include not being able to have a baby shower and having their first ultrasound be extremely pushed back.
If you're looking forward to that and you don't have that experience, there is a sense of loss. There is a sadness and a grief over missing that experience.
Dr. Jill Citron is a lecturer in the psychology department at San Jose State. She says 1 in 7 pregnant women suffer from depression or anxiety during normal conditions, but those numbers have near tripled during COVID-19.
Imagine that a mother that may be concerned about contracting COVID, so she has appropriately isolated herself the best possible. And what are the consequences of isolation on loneliness and the relationship between loneliness and depression?
Cecilar Torres is pregnant with her second child. She says not being able to bring her significant other along during her maternity appointments have been upsetting.
I feel like me showing him pictures and stuff like that is like not as validating as when you're actually there.
Going to appointments alone can limit the joy a mother experiences when having a child, especially with concerns for the health of their baby.
A lot of people felt like I was trying to hurt them by not seeing them. But I had to stay strong in my choices because I was protecting my daughter.
Pregnant women have had an especially difficult time with having to shelter in place while managing loneliness, but their strength isn't going unnoticed. Live in San Jose, Jeronica Vinluan, Update News.
The Cross-Cultural Center Mosaic at SJSU promotes diversity and provides support services. In addition, it is a safe space for students to express themselves through different forms of art.
Swallow lavender-tinged phrases. The taste of things we do not say, hint of guilt that doesn't linger.
The open mic event is to commemorate Asian Pacific Islander and Desi American Heritage Month. SJSU's Mosaic organization is hosting the online presentation. Program coordinator Sharon Singh says it honors students and their freedom to express and perform.
We have community guidelines where we just say we honor you, and it's not about being a super professional artist who can perform. It's really just about having a space to express yourself.
English major Rebecca Lee says she's primarily a poet. She enjoys writing and wants to develop further by participating with public groups of creative people.
But as a poet specifically, I'd like to develop my voice further and develop my body of work.
Lee says open mic events enables people to evolve.
The first poetry open mic that I went to, and I was listening to everyone else telling their poetry and talking about bringing their pieces to the table, and it made me really inspired to write my own.
The event is not just for poets. We spoke with a participant who says she's more of a visual artist, but the experience of sharing her poetry with fellow artists is exhilarating.
But this time there was people like thinking about my work in this like concentrated space.
Nina Chuang says open mic events are a platform for artists to present their ideas, and it helps them shatter the stereotypes assigned to them by society based on gender or nationality.
But in reality, you know, the words that come out of my mouth or the artwork that I shows has a really loud voice.
Mosaic has been an SJSU organization for more than 20 years, providing a safe and welcoming environment that honors and celebrates diversity. It supports and advocates for historically underrepresented groups. Right now, we'll take a break.
We'll have more news for you in just 60 seconds.
California's fire season is coming again soon. What that looks like, coming up next.
And there's a new trend of people asking for money through their social media accounts. Stay with us.
At San Jose State University,
we discover who we want to be. For ourselves,
for our families,
for our communities.
Different and unexpected.
Begin here.
At the heart of a transforming valley, in a city that is tough and beautiful.
We are Spartans.
What powers us changes our world.
A new trend is circulating among various social media platforms. Users on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok have been, as Rachel Tate reports, people are asking for donations from strangers.
This is a clip from TikTok where two girls are shown dancing while simultaneously asking for money for a pair of shoes. Anand Upadhyay says he thinks posts asking for money for hospital bills are more likely to gain traction than others.
It's not a critical thing which has to be contributed to. It's just a fun thing, so that might be a hard part to get the money.
Other posts are harder to ignore. This TikTok user posted a cry for help because she didn't have money for rent. Janelle Brosman is the founder and lead administrator of a Facebook group that helps bring women in the Nashville area together. She has deleted an overwhelming number of posts that were violating the group's guidelines by asking other members for money. Although Brosman declined an on-camera interview, she was nice enough to let me ask her some questions over the phone.
Hello. I mean, it was almost like weekly that we were getting people asking for money or donations or having a story of some sort, and that definitely tugs a little bit at my heartstrings.
The group was going to do a fundraiser for one of their members who claimed to be broke and living in her car. They later found out she was actually going on vacation.
We can't do a fundraiser for somebody that doesn't have their priorities straight. She's talking about vacationing and going out to eat.
Anyone can create a sob story to get money and not really be in need for it.
I would say a majority in some way are scams because you have family, you have friends. Why are you going to a site where you don't really know people to make a post like that?
Alfredo Lozoya says he has never donated money to strangers on the internet because he has heard of many people being scammed.
Is it legit? I mean, are they telling the truth, or how can I, be sure about where the money is actually going?
Unless people provide substantial evidence and documentation, the public should be wary about who they send money to over the internet.
Just be careful who you're sending money to, because you're probably not going to get to see that money ever again.
Just a reminder to all the good-hearted people out there to be careful who you donate your money to. In Nashville, Rachel Tate, Update News.
It's beginning to warm up in California, meaning that fire season won't be far behind. But with the memory of last year's destructive fire still recent, many are concerned about what this summer has in store. Mickey Adams is live in San Jose with more. Mickey?
Ivan, this year's fire season is not shaping up to be a good one, but meteorologists around the state are trying to find ways to beat the heat. California suffered its worst fire season ever in 2020.
4.3 million acres burned in California, one is the largest by 2.5 times the worst fire season in terms of size, but also in terms of intensity of the.
Looking forward to 2021, the current drought isn't doing the state any favors. The region's fuel moisture content is at an all-time low, meaning more dry plants and even more fuel for wildfires. Because of these conditions, it's even more important to predict fire danger before anything catches. The United States, as well as other countries like it, has a fire danger rating that takes several different factors and combines them into a single number.
Include fuels and terrain. Some of them are just purely weather driven, but they generally work at spatial temporal scales that are the large spatial scales on daily or sometimes hourly time steps.
These numbers can be used to determine what days are the most at risk for larger scale fires and determine if conditions are right for controlled burns to keep forests healthy.
We can develop better situational awareness. We can implement protocols that help improve the way we do business under those extreme conditions to minimize or eliminate fatalities under those extreme conditions.
Despite this system being in place, experts still advise prevention efforts from normal citizens as well. Fire experts say whether it's avoiding open flames at home or preventing sparks outside, everyone should do their part.
They can't just rely on the fire service to come and save them. They have to be part of the solution beforehand.
With Santa Clara County's rainfall only at 35% of its average, even late showers won't help much. Live in San Jose, Mickey Adams, Update News.
When we come back, student meteorologist Joshua Gilman will be here to take a look at the weather.
And a look at the week ahead. Update News will be back after this.
And now we have Joshua Gilman with the weather.
This week, the Bay Area saw some mornings of cloudy marine layer, but overall, the skies have been sunny, and the clear conditions will continue into next week. And on the weekend, there will be a warm-up, and it's due to this ridge of high pressure system, and on Sunday, much of the Bay Area will be reaching into the 80s. Then, an upper atmospherical low pressure system will move in by early next week and will drop temperatures yet again by about 10 degrees. All right, let's take a look at the 5-day forecasts. Santa Cruz will be seeing high temperatures throughout the 70s, with Sunday being the warmest day, about 78 degrees. And the lows will be consistent in the mid-40s. San Francisco will see similar weather to Santa Cruz, with highs throughout the 70s, mainly the lower 70s, and the lows will be consistent in the upper 40s and lower 50s. In Oakland, the highs will be mostly in the mid-70s, bouncing from 80 degrees on Sunday to 70 degrees on Wednesday. And the lows will be consistent between about 49 and 50 degrees. Lastly, San Jose will see highs kind of bounce all over throughout the 70s and 80s, with San Jose having an even more of a dramatic jump than Oakland, with Sunday being about 84 degrees and then Wednesday downgrading to 72 degrees. And the lows will mainly be in the upper 40s. Overall, pretty nice weather. That's the weather scoop I have for you now, and go out and enjoy a picnic day on the warm Sunday.
And now, a look at the week ahead. Join the SJSU Center for Community Learning and Leadership on the 16th for a discussion on the new documentary, Healing from Hate.
Join a virtual event with Ellen Bass and Toy Derrickott as they have a conversation about poetry on April 19th from 5 to 6:30 p.m.
And SJSU King Library is now holding late night tutoring via Zoom every Sunday through Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. These are just a few things you can do to stay informed and engaged within the community. And that does it for this week's edition of Update News.
For all of us here, thanks for joining us, and see you next week.